Listen, and listen closely. What do you hear? This is the first sound you hear in Christopher Nolan's historical epic, Dunkirk. In my 90th Oscars prediction, I predicted that Dunkirk will win Best Sound Mixing, Sound Editing, and Film Editing. And they did. Yet somehow the brilliancy and the mastery presented in the film was neglected by a lot of people. Many audience members and critics disliked the film because of how disoriented it was. They say there's absolutely no need to tell this story non-linearly. And when you tell a story out of chronological order that doesn't fit with the story itself, it becomes a gimmick. Today I want to investigate how sound can shape how we interpret a film subconsciously. I will be looking at why Dunkirk was told like it did, how the score influenced the final product, and how Nolan and Zimmer told a story with only sound design. Let's take a look at Dunkirk. The structure of Dunkirk is simple, yet a lot of people fail to identify. To simplify, the film is separated into 3 timelines. The first one takes place at the mall, which took over the course of 1 week. The second being at sea, which took 1 day for the story to complete. And the third takes place in the air, that took over the course of 1 hour. So here's the big question. Why? I think to answer that question fully, we need to start with the concept of what it's called the Shepard Tone.
It consists of several tones separated by an octave layered on top of each other. As the tones move up the scale, the highest pitch tone gets quieter, the middle pitch remains loud, and the lowest bass pitch starts to become audible. Because you can always hear at least 2 tones rising in pitch at the same time, your brain is tricked into perceiving a constant ascending tone. Loop it all together, and it sounds like a piano scale going on for infinity.
So what does it have to do with the film? All of Nolan's work deals with suspense and tension, and most of them is just warping of time. Dunkirk just takes another approach to it, because the structure of the screenplay is based on the concept of Shepard Tone. Take a step back and examine. Throughout the entire film, the mall is the middle pitch, the sea is the lowest, the air is the highest. One is peaking, one is building, while the third one is just starting off. If we make a cut vertically throughout any point, it fits the structure of Dunkirk perfectly. In the very beginning, we are already seeing the shivering soldiers trying anything to survive, and we see it constantly throughout the entire film, the mole. We also see a family getting ready for their journey to Dunkirk. The story is just starting off, the sea. Lastly, the storyline in the air is already peaking. We are already in the middle of the dogfight in the air. And when you make a cut by the end of the film, the soldiers got home, the civilians got home, and we see Tom Hardy land on German's territory and get captured. And the middle part of the film works itself out naturally. So why do this? I think it's a matter of suspense. Nolan has been able to build extra suspense that wasn't even there in the first place, by making multiple different moments flow and seem like one continuous scene. I saw this video made by this guy Edits a while back ago, and I think what he did and what he said in that video is very on point. So I took the liberty of doing the same thing myself. I cut up the film to see where and when each sequence land. Dunkirk is all about perspective, right? How we see something from the sky is completely different when we see it from the sea. Nolan took us on this journey of rising tension that doesn't meet its end. We are tricked subconsciously into thinking that we are seeing one story that is told from beginning to end. But what we're really seeing is 3 large sequences unfolding at different rates, intercutting with each other, making an even bigger whole. Here I have a couple of good examples that I think very well illustrate how Nolan took full advantage of the structure and the editing. Exhibit A, at roughly the 43-minute mark, Tom Hardy's partner's aircraft gets shot down. The pilot safely landed on water and Hardy sees a yacht incoming. Tom Hardy assumes that his friend is okay and flies away to continue his mission. It is not until about 20 minutes later, at the hour and 2-minute mark, we get to see the same scene but on sea level. Then we realize that the pilot isn't safe at all, and we can see Tom Hardy's aircraft flying away in the background. A few minutes later, we know that it is Mark Rylance's yacht connecting the two stories together. Same moment, same story, but 20 minutes away from each other. Exhibit B is more about the editing. At about an hour and 5-minute mark, we see a group of soldiers struggling in a boat because it's filling up with water. The very next scene, we cut to the pilot from before, trying to get out of his plane because it's overflowing with water as well. Two different moments, different time, different locations, but the same situation. It doesn't matter if it makes sense, as long as the emotion conveyed to the audience is correct. At 1 hour and 9-minute mark, 5 minutes later, the boat was filled with water and the soldiers need to swim out because they don't have much time left to survive. The next edit, we cut to the pilot again because he's struggling for the same thing. Exhibit C, at about an hour and 11-minute mark, from the air we see a ship filled with soldiers gets bombed and starts to sink, spilling the oil on the ocean surface. The boat is labeled H-32. It is not until the 1 hour and 20-minute mark, almost 10 minutes later, we get to see the same scene from sea level and experience the bombing once again from this perspective, but it certainly doesn't feel like we're jumping back in time. Exhibit D, last but not least, we have this type of edit where two events are cut back to back to create a single beat that feels like belongs in one single scene, but it's not. At the 1 hour and 28-minute mark, the officer sees a German aircraft flying above. He closes his eyes, awaits for his fate. The next scene, we cut directly to the sea storyline, where the civilians are also encountering a German aircraft. We cut back to back between these two moments intensely, whereas it's really two different aircrafts, two different time, two different locations with different perspective. Yet it feels like the same beat because it creates the same feeling for the audience. Zoom out the edits, you can see the edits and cuts get more and more intense near the end. Isolate the three sequences, we can see the mole took up roughly 50 minutes of screen time, 38 minutes for the sea and 28 minutes for the air. Again, these are just approximate numbers because some of the scenes are where two storylines overlap, so it gets a little tricky when separating. So in a way, you can really say that Dunkirk is nothing but one elongated musical cue that rises continuously, just like the Shepard Tone. Dunkirk is a musical. Thank you so much for watching this video. Nolan is my favorite artist and Dunkirk was the shortest and the first biographical film he have ever made. It's since remained one of my favorite war films and in my opinion the best technically told war film of all time. Definitely tell me your thoughts in the comments and like and share this video with your grandparents and everyone you know. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button to see more, please, and thank you.